How to win an argument, even if you are wrong. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of an argument, feeling your heart race, your mind scramble, and your words stumble out like fragile pieces of glass? Perhaps it was a debate with a friend about a trivial topic, a discussion at work that escalated unexpectedly, or even a heated argument with someone you care about deeply. In those moments, most people believe that winning an argument is about proving themselves right, scoring points, or forcing their opponent into submission. But the truth is far more subtle and far more powerful. True mastery of an argument comes from understanding how to communicate strategically, how to read the room, and how to use your opponent's energy against him. For years, I lost countless arguments because I focused solely on being right. I would launch into discussions with facts, logic, and conviction, yet somehow I left feeling drained, frustrated, and unheard. Then I began studying the psychology behind debates, the subtle tactics of persuasion, and the strategies of some of history's most effective communicators. Over time, I discovered 8 powerful methods that allow you to dominate any argument, not by aggression, but by intelligence, emotional insight, and strategic communication. In this guide, I will walk you through these methods, each illustrated with real-life stories and actionable examples, so that by the end, you will not just survive arguments, you will thrive in them. The emotional dynamics of arguments. Before diving into techniques, it's essential to understand the emotional undercurrents of every argument. Every debate or discussion is a dynamic interplay of energy, belief, and focus. Your opponent comes into the argument armed with convictions, past experiences, and a sense of self-worth tied to their position. Your own beliefs, emotions, and communication style shape how you engage. Most people fail to realize that an argument is rarely about the topic itself. Instead, it's about identity, perception, and emotional power. When you learn how to communicate strategically, you begin to see that what appears to be a clash of facts is actually a dance of energy, both yours and your opponent's. By observing opponents, noting their reactions, and consciously shaping your responses, you can transform a hostile discussion into an arena where you control the flow, direction, and outcome. Method 1. Judo technique in arguments. Imagine you're in a discussion with someone who attacks every point you make. Their tone is sharp, their words aggressive, and your initial reaction is to fight back with equal force. This is the moment to apply the Judo technique in arguments. Instead of meeting force with force, you use your opponent's energy against him. I remember a particular workplace debate where a colleague relentlessly challenged every suggestion I made. At first, I tried to counter with facts, but it only fueled the confrontation. Then I paused, acknowledged where he was right, and strategically conceded small points. I watched his energy shift. He was momentarily disarmed, and it opened the space for me to guide the conversation toward my main points. The key to this method is emotional control. Concede where appropriate, affirm your opponent's reasoning, and then gently pivot. This is not weakness, it's strategic mastery. By doing so, you subtly dominate the argument while appearing cooperative, calm, and credible. Method 2. Socratic questioning in arguments. The next technique is Socratic questioning in arguments. Instead of directly stating your opinion, you guide your opponent to discover contradictions in their own thinking. This method works beautifully in any discussion because it appeals to curiosity, logic, and self-reflection. Consider a heated debate about whether academic success guarantees competence. Instead of asserting your viewpoint, ask, if grades are the only measure of skill, how do we explain successful entrepreneurs who struggled in school? Or, are there other skills that might matter as much as academic achievement? These rhetorical questions in arguments gently nudge the other person toward insight without triggering defensiveness. By the end, they may begin to see flaws in their reasoning themselves. The beauty of Socratic questioning is that it doesn't just win arguments, it transforms them into collaborative explorations of truth. Method 3. Hypnotic language in argument. Words carry tremendous power in debates. The way you phrase your thoughts can either escalate tension or create openness. Using hypnotic language in argument, such as replacing "you" with "I feel," can dramatically reduce defensiveness. For example, instead of saying, "You're wrong about this point," you might say, "I feel frustrated by this perspective and would love to explore it further." This subtle shift changes the energy of the discussion, turning potential conflict into connection. Additionally, sprinkling implied statements like, "Of course, we all know this makes sense," can gently guide your opponent to agree without realizing it. Emotional storytelling paired with strategic phrasing creates a discussion where your points resonate more effectively. Method 4. Contrast and red herring techniques. Sometimes the most effective way to dominate an argument is by creating contrast or shifting focus. The contrast effect makes your main point appear more reasonable by comparing it to an exaggerated alternative. Meanwhile, the red herring change of focus can redirect an opponent's attention away from a contentious issue without appearing evasive. I recall a debate about project deadlines, where my team was criticized for being overly ambitious. Instead of defending our timeline, I introduced a hypothetical scenario of an impossible deadline. Suddenly, our original plan seemed not only reasonable, but achievable. Emotionally, my opponent felt less combative and more aligned with my logic. Method 5. Information bombing and Gish Gallop strategy. Sometimes structured overload works. The information bombing technique involves presenting facts and data strategically to overwhelm an opponent. Similarly, the Gish Gallop strategy leverages rapid-fire points, half-truths, or structured arguments to create momentum in your favor. In one instance, during a debate about market trends, I presented a carefully curated set of statistics, expert opinions, and historical examples. The opponent tried to respond but couldn't address every point. The outcome was not arrogance, it was a demonstration of preparation, knowledge, and strategic energy management. Method 6. Coherence principle in debate. The coherence principle in debate is about building agreement gradually. Start with points your opponent can agree with, then logically expand toward your larger argument. This method works because humans resist cognitive dissonance. Once they accept small truths, it's harder to reject bigger conclusions. Emotionally, this builds trust and reduces friction. You are no longer the adversary, you are the guide. By connecting ideas smoothly, you subtly dominate the discussion while allowing your opponent to feel autonomous and respected. Method 7. The Rule of 3 argument structure. The Rule of 3 argument structure is one of the most powerful tools in persuasion. People naturally process ideas in triads. It's easier to remember and more compelling emotionally. When making a case, present 3 key points supported by stories or examples. This structure not only clarifies your message, but also instills rhythm and focus into the discussion. It's a method used by great orators throughout history to inspire, persuade, and win arguments with elegance. Method 8. Lightning-fast jokes in debate. Finally, humor can be a strategic weapon. Lightning-fast jokes disarm tension, redirect emotional energy, and make your opponent more receptive. I remember a family argument that had escalated into frustration. I inserted a brief, witty observation about our shared history. The room shifted. Laughter replaced tension, and suddenly the discussion became productive. Humor, when applied with timing and emotional awareness, can turn a hostile argument into collaboration. No method works in isolation. Mastery of argument comes from your ability to adapt communication styles to your opponent's personality, energy, and focus. Some people respond to logic, some to emotion, some to stories. Observing, listening, and adjusting your approach is what turns a skilled communicator into a formidable strategist. By understanding these principles, energy management, strategic concessions, emotional intelligence, and structured persuasion, you gain not just the ability to win arguments, but to leave every debate feeling respected, understood, and effective. The emotional art of argument. Mastering an argument is not about dominance, ego, or victory at all costs. It's about understanding the intricate dance of energy, belief, and emotion. By using the methods outlined here, Judo technique in arguments, Socratic questioning in arguments, hypnotic language in argument, red herring change of focus, coherence principle in debate, rule of three argument structure, lightning-fast jokes in debate, you can approach every discussion with calm, strategy, and emotional intelligence. Remember, each argument is an opportunity to connect, to persuade, and to grow. By mastering these techniques, you no longer fear debates, you embrace them as a path to clarity, confidence, and meaningful communication.